Oh, these youngins don't move like we used to. Ain't throwing Sunday barbecues like we used to. Why don't they ever keep it cool like we used to? Why don't they just stay true like we used to? Hey yo, these youngins don't move like we used to. Ain't throwing Sunday barbecues like we used to. Why don't they ever keep it cool like we used to? Why don't they just stay true like we used to? Like we used to.
Moving in the slab down the street on some slow shit. 2 miles an hour, so everybody notices.
Our senses, right? We can see, taste, touch, smell, and hear.
Up in my element, on a level you never been. Where you got is irrelevant. Do what you never done, and I done what you never did. And my greatness is evidence. When it comes to the money, this isn't a game. I ain't making monopoly funds. Don't run from a hater. Pull up with the heaters that hop out like you hit the block with the sun. Who you know sharper than one? I'm smoking all the competition like a prime time. I'm spitting that Gucci, that Fendi, that Prada, and dropping these top of the line rhymes. Them line rhymes like dimes. Cause in my mind there's no contest to these metaphors and these concepts. I got them feeling so hard pressed. They won't press back cause they harmless. Right-handed but I got a strong left. You can't handle these balls that I spar with. And like hammers I bang on your forehead. And they all vexed cause I'm on next. Gotta panic and I get the bomb thread. Cause the shit that I'm spitting is hitting so hard that the damage is so river cortex.
Your cerebral cortex. You're fucked up cerebellum.
Bah! Hey, welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. I'm Manu Ticin. This is my co-host, Tyson Strasberg. This is the show that every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is that right now, Pacific Standard Time? Or is it just Pacific Time?
It is. We are now in Pacific Standard Time. Pacific Daylight Time ended yesterday. Fucked me up this morning. I woke up. I thought it was 8 o'clock. I'm in my robe. I'm walking to the kitchen. I said, "What are you doing up so early?" "What do you mean so early? It's 8 o'clock." "No, it is 7 o'clock."
7 o'clock. Yeah, screwed me up too, because I usually poop right around 8. I didn't even get up and right in the bed. And I was like, what? I thought it was time to poop.
Yeah, I was messed up this morning.
Yeah, I got a little off track today too. Actually, I had an interview with a gentleman from a show called Coffee Black that I was supposed to do at 3, but then we were in different time zones with both our clocks, so we got all discombobulated. But anyway, this show is Dangerous Thoughts. It's a show, me and Tyson, sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. Tonight, we're just going to talk about a dangerous topic that most people don't talk about. We're going to talk about religion, politics, government, and voting, and all the other different things that go along with that. And we especially, since this show tends to lean a little bit left, you can join the program by coming on the program with your nifty computer or your phone. We would love to have some MAGA, right-wing, hardcore MAGA folks join us tonight, just to talk about the differences between these candidates and why Americans are voting for one or the other. This is the last Dangerous Thoughts show that will air before the election night happens. So, before Civil War breaks out, let's talk about it.
Now, quick time out. What makes you think that I'm not a Trump supporter? I mean, I could be a Trump supporter. I could be a Trump supporter.
You're just.
I mean, I am completely androgynous when it comes to who I'm voting for. Nobody knows who I'm voting for. I try to be apolitical. I never tip my hat.
Never tip your hat
to who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very slick.
Completely neutral. I am completely neutral. I just want to be clear about that.
Where did you get the hat, Tyson?
My God.
Where did you get that? I don't even know where people get these things.
Oh my God, I got it on Amazon. Jeff Bezos, not Elon Musk. That's a very important distinction.
You got it on Amazon. Oh, yeah. Musk had nothing to do with Amazon. Still, two evil motherfucking billionaires.
Yeah, but lesser two evils. In San Diego, by the way, we had
the lesser of two evils, kind of like Kamala,
Carl DeMaio, and some other asshole, and I ended up voting for Carl DeMaio. Huge Republican here in San Diego, but it was a traditional Republican versus a MAGA Republican.
It is none of the above.
So,
I love it. Grumpy Gnome has the right idea. He says vote none of the
right.
above.
None of the above. None of the above.
I'm all for it. Okay, so let's bring up the first topic before we get into Kamala or Trump. What it do, my people? Hey, Mike. So M1 tuning in for the evening. Hey, Mala, how are you? The lesser of two weevils. All right, so you're distracting me. Voting. No, what was I talking about? We were going to talk about Trump, Harris, and then local laws.
Yes, yes. There are a lot of propositions, a lot of local laws, mayors, governors, things like that.
So that's what I'm interested in as well. If you want to join the program, first of all, if you like Dangerous Thoughts, if you haven't subscribed and liked the channel and shared the channel, please do so on your social media. But also, if you want to join the show, you can click on the link below on the... Where's the link? I don't know where the link is. I can't see it. But supposedly there's a link below, and you can click on it. Or you can write at Subscript Pirate on X and ask to come on the show, and he'll send you the Discord, the StreamYards link, and then you can come on and talk with us, and you'll get your own little space. And we really, really, really want some MAGA supporters out there.
But here, I want to be clear about something. I went to a MAGA channel as a Democrat, and I wanted, they were saying the same thing. Hey, we're inviting Democrats to come talk with us. But what happened was, they just beat up on me. What they did was they opened up like 10 people to talk, and it was like me against 10, and all of them just shredded me. I want to be clear about something. When we say we're inviting you here to talk, we really want to talk. I mean, we want to have I want to understand
actual
why you think the way you think, and I want you to understand why I think how I think, and I want us to talk about it. I want us to find common ground. And if you walk away a Trump supporter and I still walk away a Harris supporter, we're good, right? I mean, that's what America is about. It's about being able to express yourself.
It should Putin, be, and it's getting more and more
Russia,
divisive.
Yeah, well, in Russia, I mean, he just kills all the opposition, right? No wonder he always gets 98% of the vote, because, everybody who tries to run against him dies. I don't want that to be the case in America. I want us to be free to express who we're going to vote for. And if my candidate loses, I am all on board for the other candidate.
To be the case in America either, unless I'm president. And then I would kill anyone and rule for the rest of my life.
I'm glad I'm on the ground floor for your presidency, because if I was on the wrong side of Manu Ticin, I would be in an Arctic prison somewhere.
Arctic prison, even worse than the gulags. Up in Antarctica is where I would put
mining dilithium on the
my dissenters
on Rura Pinte
on the moons of Butt Tyson. Yes,
Butt Tyson. Manu, we have a Republican, an independent, and an anarchist waiting.
Here we go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So before we bring them on, and guys, please hang out, because I really do want to have a discussion with a lot of people tonight. But actually go ahead and bring them all on. But let's go topic by topic. The first topic is local laws in your state that you think are important, because the first topic that I want to get to is just voting in general. I have a lot of people, including my producer, that don't think voting is important, that don't think voting has anything to do with what happens in this country, that your vote is just a wasted, shouldn't do it. Don't participate. Everybody stop participating. And hey, it's fine to have that opinion. But for me, the reason that I vote is usually doesn't have anything to do with the president or our congressman, or it usually has to do with the local laws that people have put time, effort, and energy to get on my state's ballot. And that's why I usually vote. It's usually
propositions are so important.
Yes,
Prop 33 in California is huge. Prop 33, rent control. You know, New York has rent control. Other states have rent control. But in California, do you know there are properties that go for $5,000? We're talking about apartments. I'm not talking about beautiful houses or apartment, 2-bedroom apartments that are $5,000 a month. We have to have rent control. Prop 33. So propositions are just as important as who you're going to pick for president.
Also,
who's going to be your state
we got
senator.
Chris Gilbert on tonight. Fantastic. We've got a MAGA guy joining us. That's fantastic. And Zach, who's a libertarian or something like that, or an anarchist or something. This is going to be fun. All right. So the local law that I cared about in Colorado had to do with just this local ordinance. They want to take the legal marijuana that the citizens of Colorado have legalized in previous elections, and they want to not allow it in this little town called Manitou down in Colorado Springs. They don't want to allow it within the city. So if you're a marijuana shop, you've got to be outside the county in order to run your legal, what's the difference between you have to have a doctor prescribe it and you can just go recreational marijuana? The recreational shops, they're trying to boot outside of the city. And I'm like, come on, if you legalize pot, it should be like beer. It should be in the freaking stores. It should,
But even
everywhere.
if it's legalized at a state level, the federal level, I think we need to change the federal law.
The federal law needs to be changed. 30-something states have passed legal medical laws. It's time for the feds to shut up about marijuana. All right, Chris, what do you think about weed? Chris Gilbert, our resident Republican.
And by the way, Chris, you were on the show last year. You were one of my favorite guests, and I love the fact.
So happy.
I love the fact that we are, and I've called you, and we've talked about your kids before, and I love the fact you are one of my favorite Republicans. I know that's something that my people rarely say. You are one of my favorite Republicans. I love you, Chris.
Well, you may be surprised to know I did not renew my membership to the GOP. I've kind of gone independent because I think
right on.
I think the GOP is half of the problem. But you were asking the question about marijuana. I use it for medical purposes. The state of Virginia has legalized things, but they haven't done what they did with alcohol, which is open their own store, ABC stores in Virginia.
Yeah.
They let independent dealers sell like the vapes and gummies and all that kind of stuff. And I have Lyme disease, so I have a lot of joint pain and inflammation, and it's hard to sleep at night. So I'm very grateful that I have access to it, and it's not something I have to sneak or hide or anything like that. I think it's one of those things where I think letting the states decide is probably the best. I think, I know abortion is a hot issue, but I think putting it back to the states was probably a wise thing. I'm not a fan of abortion, but I understand it's going to happen, and in some cases it needs to happen. But I don't, just like using marijuana, I don't think the federal government should be deciding who does what. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Chris,
I actually am really proud of that. I want to say something really quickly, because I know Chris to be a very Christian, and I thought a very Republican individual. But it's cool to hear that he's conservative is different than Republican.
I don't know if I want to call myself Republican anymore.
Yeah,
honestly, I like the new GOP that I see, because it honestly reminds me of the Democrat Party of the 60s. Because we've got, Trump's platform, his team, it's like an amalgamation.
The Dixiecrats. That's what they were. They were the Dixiecrats.
No.
Who are you talking about?
The Dixiecrats are a myth. But we can talk about all that kind of stuff. No, they're just Democrats that went underground, hiding their racism, and then decided to come out and support the civil rights movement.
Okay, see, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you if you were voting for Trump, and hopefully we'll get someone on here that is.
Yeah.
How do you get past simple things like that? Like, hey, the first time Trump had sex with Melania, it was on Epstein's plane. How do you get past he wants to close the border except not for Ivanka and all his Russian wives? Is it when
That's all a bunch of
when it's a white person, it's cool for you to come to America, but if you're brown, it's not cool? Is that the Trump ethic?
well, no, that's not the narrative. That's not the MAGA narrative. Everybody I know totally supports immigration, legal immigration, our biggest concern, because the Biden administration they don't know the exact number, but they're saying it's getting close to 20 million people unvetted. And they know for certain that there's at least 30 to 40,000 people that have been let back into the country that have criminal records for murder, rape, homicide, like the worst kind of criminals. And a lot of these people have already committed murders and rapes. And one of my favorites, I've tried to talk to some people about it, and they're like, no, that's impossible. I don't believe that. If you do the research, you can get on the internet and find Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, bragging about how he emptied his prisons and mental hospitals and sent everybody to the United States.
Is one of them in your house?
No,
Yeah.
this is my daughter making.
If I could have a minute for rebuttal,
Sure.
I didn't finish my weed, man.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Talk about weed.
This is my daughter Esther. She wanted to say hi.
Hey Esther, how are you?
Hey.
She's we talked about weed, but you had some loaded statements, and a lot of those statements are designed to trigger an emotional response. They're kind of red herrings. I know.
Well, I think he's a racist.
No, and there's so. Do you know who Judge Joe Brown is?
Yeah.
Have you listened to anything Judge Joe Brown has said?
Well, yeah, sure, but
there's also, I'd say, dozens, if not hundreds, of interviews of Trump's employees, the majority of which are Hispanic, Asian, and Black. The white employees in the Trump organization are a minimum. I know he had that knee-jerk reaction with the Central Park Five. A lot of people, make hot-headed decisions, but see, that's like the main thing they bring up, and then they say, oh, he was breaking, rental laws and all that kind of stuff. But he's also the same man that the NAACP invited, and it gave him an award twice. He was presented with an award by Rosa Parks, Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al, who brags on Trump now. All those people, he's been
and Trump went to the Clintons' wedding. Trump, I mean, I don't know if
he knows all these people on both sides. He's contributed to political campaigns for Democrats and Republicans for 30 years.
And he's had some very liberal leanings back in the day.
Yeah, he does. He's still, I think some of his views are a little more liberal to me. But I think what's happened in the last 8 years is it's become so much about Trump's personality. And I think this whole Trump derangement syndrome is very real. I've interacted, like I have family members, I have some friends, I have a friend who won't talk to me anymore. Just because I voted for Trump.
Well, that's one thing
he judges me. He said, well, this is a lack of character on your part.
No.
This is, or you're in a cult, or Trump
this is one thing. Hold on. This is one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
The defining thing about America is that you get to vote for who you want. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think or Manu or anybody else here thinks. Yeah. If you like Trump and you want to vote for Trump. And if I like Kamala, I'm going to vote for Kamala. But the thing is, I've encountered people who have, just today I was at a bar. I wore this hat at the bar. And I live in a predominantly Republican area. And I felt threatened. People came up and, called me a lot of F words and things like that. Like, why is it
this
okay?
is what Chris is talking about too, the end of his friendship over.
Right? Why can they have trucks, raised trucks with 10 flags with all Trump, and I just have a simple little bumper sticker? Why does that make me less patriotic?
Well,
Do I need to put 12
What-
flags on my car to
It's a
make
good question. Wait a second. It's a good question. What makes
no,
America
it's a fair
so
question.
so
And I
divisive
think-
and so why are we so
Well,
instead of like there was a time in America where we weren't so like we weren't so divided. It was like
it's always been right, left, center, but
It's
it was never
intentional.
so extreme. Yeah.
I don't know if I have to wait and to unmute myself.
No,
but
go
I'm
ahead.
struggling
Go ahead,
to not
Allison.
Go
talk.
ahead, Allison. Yeah,
It's
go ahead.
intentional. Both the Republican and Democrat parties are lying, manipulating, and making people hate each other because it furthers their power. The things that I'm listening to you all say, and I'm not trying to be denigrating or whatever, but Trump's not. I fuck the state. I hate the fucking government.
Yeah, me
fucking
too.
hate it.
So do I.
When we talk about these marijuana laws, all that comes to my head is, how can you accept someone else making a rule for how you live your life?
Yeah.
Like, you can't fucking do that yourself. But Kamala wants to dictate my entire fucking life outside of me being able to murder my own baby. She wants to put rent control. You want to control everything. What is it with this control? And that's the divisiveness. You want to control my life. They want to control your life. You want to control their life. And here I am, not wanting to control any fucking aspect of your life. None.
Both parties,
I want
right?
you to smoke
Both
your pot.
parties.
I want you to do your heroin. I want you to do whatever the fuck you
I'll
want.
put my hat on Tyson.
But you want to limit what I can do. You want to take my money. You want to fund wars. We don't get to vote for who we want. Nobody wants Kamala. No one fucking voted for her. We want to talk about democracy. Trump.
I have a question, Allison. I have a question,
cool.
Allison. I have a question. So, as a man, I can go to any 50 states, and I'm whole. I'm the same. My rights are the same no matter what state I go to. As a woman, my rights are different in Texas. They're different in California. They're different.
What you're saying is not true. And I encourage you to go do research on what different states restrict the rights of men versus women, because there are. I'm not going to list them out because I don't remember what they are, but that's not true. Okay. Now, I am a 41-year-old woman. I have 3 children. I had an oopsie baby with a freaking man when I was 23 years old, and not a second, not even for a second, did I consider murdering my own child. So I had my baby at 23. I married a man. I stayed married for 10 years, and he's the horrible person. But I have my beautiful children. And that is the only difference. You want to be able to... Why are we not preaching for accountability, personal responsibility, wearing a condom, making good choices in men?
Oh, so you're
nervous system so that
I agree. Now, Allison, here's where we agree. If you want to prevent abortions, you want to prevent unintended pregnancies, right? I mean, that's logical. It's common sense. And yet, I don't know why the GOP is against...
It's not the role of the government. It's not the role of the government to raise the children.
It's not the role of the government.
It's not the role of the government to raise my children.
Yeah.
The government did not give me
Allison, you mean it doesn't take a village?
Getting pregnant, it did not give me information. The government did fucking nothing to keep me from getting pregnant. It is not their job. It is my parents' job, and my parents were fucking shitty parents. And that's what happens. Now we have an entire generation of shitty parents who want to pat their kids on the back for every fucking thing that they do. And we're having this generation of entitled little babies.
Allison, I agree. We agree on a lot of things. I agree with you. I swear to God, this was 4 years ago. I saw a child, must have been 6th grade, slap his mother. I almost had a heart attack. I just think to my own childhood, my mother would have killed me.
My dad would have knocked me the fuck out.
The police,
I would have deserved it.
Would have been scooping my dead body off of the pavement and giving my mother a medal for doing it. Like, I can't believe kids are like this today.
No, and it's
You know,
also the government and how much the government will stop you from
guys,
raising your children the way you want them to be raised.
I have a theory
And who
about
does that?
by
It's
the
not the
way.
Republicans or the Democrats. It's the Republicans
It's both.
and the Democrats. It is
It's
the
both.
fucking government.
Yeah,
It is
both.
the government. There is no Republicans and Democrats. You're
All
being
right, so
played for fools. One more
I
story.
agree with you.
Please. I was a freshman in college. Okay. Freshman in college, I was one of 2 white girls on my dorm floor. Everyone from the inner cities, they're all on their scholarships. They're not scholarships, BET programs and whatever. This one girl, 18 years old, she had 3 abortions. 3 at 18. Abortions target inner city people. They target poor people. They target
Especially
those people
the Black
with
community.
dysregulated nervous systems that are making poor decisions for their life because they're acting on impulse and emotions. And they're being self-destructive because they were raised in destruction.
And they live in
what
a
we're
constant
doing is
state of
making it
trauma.
worse. We're not making it better. You're making it
All
worse.
right, I agree with so much of what you're saying. Let me get back to Chris, and then we're going to go to Moloch. Chris,
All right, Chris,
I know you've been biting your lip. Go ahead.
No, I agree with a lot of what Allison's saying. I don't like the government in my business.
I think
don't
we can
like
all.
other
I think
people
all
in
of
my
us
business.
here.
And I don't
Small
wanna get
government.
into other
I'm
people's
all
business.
about small government. Yeah.
Small government is a big thing. My daughter wanted to say something. Well, fuck
Price
communism.
go ahead.
control and rent control are not small government. That is very big government.
What did
Yeah.
she say?
She said, God bless America and fuck communism.
I am not a patriot. I do not believe in borders. I don't believe in nationalities. People are people, and we should all be treated as such. So I don't fall into this patriotism BS.
No, that's okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, you know, patriotism
Price
is
control
also
and
a bit
rent
of
control,
anarchy can go along.
not small government.
Look, we live in a country now where we are monitored 24/7 everywhere we go, everything we think, everything we do, everything we speak, all of our phone conversations are listened in on. We live in a 1984 police state, and
we can thank Bush and Cheney for that.
Yeah, we sure can.
No. Am I muted? I'm not muted. It was the Democrats too. They
look.
We
get it.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if Bush and Cheney would have. If it would have been Gore.
It goes back to the 60s, so it was way before. Yeah, and they've all been complicit. So let's agree that they've all been complicit.
Yeah. And so this is a pretty good topic. What's cool here is that we've got a group of people here that look at politics a different way. But what we all do agree upon so far is that the massive overtaking of government in our lives, making us their workers to pay their bills, and it's gotten to be to the point where it's like 95% of us are slave class, and there's the few billionaires and the tiny middle class. So what do we do about that besides vote for your local laws? How can you all right, this is what really bums me out. Why don't kids, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, why don't more young people vote?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question personally. I mean, I was very excited to exercise my right to vote when I was 18.
But I think Allison's right. I think Allison's right when she's talking about kids these days and the way they're raised. They don't give a shit.
They shouldn't give a shit. That's how we stop it. We stop giving a shit. Everyone who votes is participating in this mirage. It's not real. It's fake. And we are giving them that authority every time.
If you vote for one of their picked politicians that they've pumped millions of dollars into the programmed media, Harris or Trump, yeah, you're participating in bullshit. But if you actually go to the ballot box and you vote on local laws that have been grassrooted and trying to improve the world, trying to,
locally,
they are local laws. Look, I tried to legalize marijuana in California with my life. I put my life on the line for that law.
You went to jail for it.
I went to jail for it. And for 37 states now, Chris can go to sleep at night because he has access to his marijuana. That stuff is important. Those things are important. And if you have to vote for those things to change.
Or you can just smoke pot and not give a shit about the cops.
And go to jail
They arrest
and get a felony and get your guns taken away and etc. and get your children taken away.
But I might that opens up an
Yeah.
opportunity for nullification.
Yeah. We
All right,
have
let's
to
hear
obey
this
it.
nullification argument.
We are 95% slave class, and we accept it, and we continue doing what they tell us to because we're scared because the cops are going to kill us.
Yeah,
how
cops are
absurd is
scary.
that we can't live our lives how we choose without fear of being murdered by the government?
Yeah. Okay. When I was 8 years old, let me share a story. When I was 8 years old, the DEA, the ATF, came up out of my forest, and we owned 2 big homes in Idaho. And my mom and dad grew and sold marijuana for a living. And those motherfuckers came with their M16s and machine guns, and they kicked in our doors. They ripped my family apart. They threw my father in prison. They took our property. They left me and my mom on the street. And I grew up in hippie communes because the government decided to take our property because my dad liked smoking pot.
It's disgusting.
That's disgusting. I'm absolutely with you. But to change those laws, like, we got to vote. We got to participate.
I'm not against.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this. Let's not participate fixing everything argument.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly like to hear how you think that works. Very much.
Yeah. So
on
let's
the
talk
local
about
level, I'm not completely anti-voting, but I disagree that these are important things. I listened to the testimonies during our last legislative session. We paid attention to bills. There was a freaking person who tried to put a bill on the docket that made you have to register your goldfish with the government.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Democrat, of course. It was
Of course. They love their tyranny.
I've killed so many goldfish in my life.
Not just goldfish. I want your halibut registered.
In her defense, she said, I didn't actually read the bill. So you're out here voting for state house reps who then push bills because someone buys them and tells them to, and then they get voted on. You have
goldfish? Really, goldfish?
Yeah. Well, it was probably something stuffed. This is one of the other problems with big government, right? They write these laws and they write these bills and they stuff all this extra fucking bullshit in there about goldfish.
The pork.
And this, that, and the other.
Cassie.
And then senators and congressmen don't read the bills. They have teams of students read their bills, and then they get a little.
The average American commits 2 felonies a day. Is that right? The average American commits 3 felonies.
I thought it was up to like 8 or something.
It might
3 felonies a day.
Average,
which is a system, a prison system, where they can come and get any one of us at any time if they want to, and throw us in their system
forever. Because there are more laws than any one of us could ever know. Right? Nobody walks around with a with the
state law book or the
library of
I think it was 500 bills the state of Colorado passed this year. 500 new laws. The Democrat Party did, help with the Republicans. I'm sure Manu.
Yeah. Whatever.
Sorry, my apologies.
Manure, whatever. Yeah.
On the ballot, they want to syntax me for exercising my constitutional rights. Democrats do, right? They do want to take my gun. Right. They are the bigger evil. They will always be the bigger evil because they want to disarm me. Yeah. And I used to be a Democrat. I was a Democratic socialist caucusing for Bernie Sanders in 2016. I've been where you are, and I'm ashamed of myself.
I felt the burn. I'm just telling you. But you know what?
Bernie would be a great president.
No, I love Bernie. I love Bernie.
He would be an absolutely atrocious president. He is a socialist. He wants to control other people. He is a hypocrite. He's a bad person.
I love how all these words. I love how all these words come out when Democrats and Republicans and conservatives and liberals talk. Where we start using words like murder for abortion, and we start using words for like, what did we use when we talked? You just said something about Bernie. It was very.
You have pro-choice or pro-life or anti-abortion.
No, immediately it was socialist. Bernie Sanders, socialist. That word, like we all go to these.
Bernie Sanders is a
trigger
socialist,
words.
and
Bernie lost me when he was on video saying there's nothing wrong with bread lines. We could use a good bread line.
Yes, he is a socialist, but I have to hand it to Bernie.
Excuse me, dude.
He has been saying the same message forever. He is the only politician I've seen in my life that's just stuck to his message.
There's a few
until Hillary Clinton,
until
Hillary Clinton bought him off.
Anyway, with him, I totally fell into as a Democrat, but they're not taking your guns. They're taking our guns.
Oh, they're taking our guns. They want our guns so bad
to take our guns.
Let me tell you how crazy I am.
Hold on. Obama was president
Stop it.
for 8 years, and nobody lost their guns.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
I lost my gun when Obama was president.
Nobody lost their guns. No. Obama was president for 8 years. Nobody lost their guns.
Listen to this.
Pushing on Twitter like daily.
Okay, first of all, I don't know if there's a speech impediment here, and I have the biggest sympathy for speech impediments. Okay, it's Kamala, not Kamala.
I don't care. I have no respect.
Oh, okay, so it's fine if you have a speech impediment. But Kamala Harris has a gun. She has guns.
Okay.
Trump has guns. They don't want guns. They don't want to take guns away.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They say it on Twitter every day, Tyson.
They all
testimony for an entire day testifying against.
We said we were going to talk and not argue.
Where they tried to ban every semi-auto gun. A revolver was going to be banned under this bill. They are trying.
Well,
and if you want to point to Obama, I don't give a shit. Because right now, the White House and Kamala on a daily basis are trying to convince people that you need to ban my guns.
And do you know why, Allison?
Well, I'm please put the link in our chat because I want to see where Kamala is pronounced Kamala. I'd like to see where Kamala has proposed that because I haven't seen it. I have not seen, and I would like to see it.
There's videos of her out there saying yes.
No, not video. No, stop with the videos.
No, wait
and the
a
Fox
second.
News.
Kamala,
give me the link where Kamala said, "I want revolvers taken away." I want to see that. I want to see her say that.
Revolvers. Look, forget about revolvers.
Our state
she wants to
HB
slowly but surely take away our guns.
She said she would shoot somebody who broke into her house because she's a gun owner.
Bitch.
Well, they're all lying bitches. Give me an honest politician.
Wait a second. All right, Tyson, when we started the show, we said we were going to have a discussion.
But they're all lying bitches. All politicians.
Well, all Democrats and Republicans.
All politicians. All politicians are lying bitches.
I would agree.
A qualification to be a politician. If you only tell the truth, you can't be a politician.
Well, okay.
There's an American citizen. We need to put liars and cheaters in charge of our lives.
Yeah. It's a sick system, and it's broken.
And you're part of it.
One of the things that I wouldn't say that. Well, yeah, and I'm a part of it, and that's what I'm really arguing tonight is that we do really need all of our citizens instead of 23% or 33% or 17% to vote and participate and take part in the system for us to fix it. It can't be 33% of the older Americans. I watch these Trump rallies and I watch these Kamala rallies and I see the people in the crowds. They're all, for the most part, freaking old farts. And none of these young people are going to the ballot box.
Watch it, dude.
I'm an old fart. I'm 50. I'm 50. But it really bothers me, man.
50.
Yeah, I'm getting up there. But I voted when I was in my young 20s. But the reason I voted and I got into politics and into caring about my local laws was because I got my house taken away by the ATF and the DEA when I was 8, and I wanted pot to be legal, and so I started getting involved. But what I found out was that when I did get involved and I did push the message, that things changed. So I just hope people vote, and forget about this. There is one local law in Colorado that I think is fantastic. We're trying to establish ranked choice voting in Colorado. I'm a big fan of ranked choice voting. I think all states should adopt ranked choice voting. I think the federal election process should be a ranked choice voting thing. I think that would actually allow independent parties to start participating in America instead of it being this two-party bullshit system. WWE, sorry, I'm old, greater of two evils bullshit. And we could start getting some independent parties and some independent thinkers into the system. I think that's an important
WWE SmackDown.
Sorry,
I was back in the day
to have
loved it
outside the uniparty running. The issue with the ranked choice voting that's on the ballot this year is what's going to happen is you're going to have 5 Democrats running and 5 Republicans running, and they're going to pick the top 4, and you're not going to have any independents. It's going to make it harder for us to get a third party on the ballot. That's what's going to happen. And the issue with voting is that the majority of people are uninformed and uneducated on the topics, and they go based on emotions. And we have a society based on emotions because we have implemented government education that dumbs people down to a level that they can't learn and they can't think, and they repeat things like they're not trying to take your guns without actually doing any research or understanding or listening to what I'm saying, because I sent in the chat the bill where these motherfuckers tried to take 90% of our guns.
Well, it's obvious that they're all trying to take our guns. I mean, it's obvious that the system is trying to take our guns. This is obvious to me because I'm a nonviolent individual that has 1 felony on my record. When I was 18 years old, I sold a dime bag of weed to a narc in Venice Beach. And I haven't been able to arm myself since then. Legally. And then I actually did get that expunged and got that all taken care of. And I finally could have my gun. And I was so happy to have my shotgun in my house to protect my wife and to protect myself and my things and my family in case some sick fuck decided to climb in my window. I lived in Los Angeles. I was so happy. And then what happened is I got in a domestic dispute with my wife. And we had a fight, and then it went to court. And when I went to court, my wife was on my side. It wasn't physical, it was verbal. And so we went to court, and my wife said, hey, drop the charges. And the DA said, no, we don't want to drop the charges. We want to put this man in jail and protect you. And my wife was like, don't do that. I just fucking said some stupid shit that night. We didn't fight. Then they snuck this little thing at me. This is our justice system. They said, hey, here's all you have to do. All you have to do is claim that you have contempt for this court, and we'll let you walk out of here scot-free. And you and your wife can go back home. And I was like, sounds great. I have total contempt for this court. Yeah, guilty, Your Honor. Chock full of contempt. But they snuck into there, and my lawyer, who I had hired to protect my rights, didn't tell me that for 10 years I was giving up my gun rights by pleading contempt to court. Like, that's how much they're trying to take our guns.
Yep.
Okay, I just read through this bill that Ali sent over, and it is disgusting. So the first thing I noticed, it really stood out. I mean, they had every AR-15 platform, everything that looked like an AR-15.
Of course,
everything that looked like an AK-47.
I'll give that to you. The AR-15, AK-40.
Wait, Tyson.
Hold on.
We're not letting Cassie talk. We're supposed to give each other time to talk.
It goes.
No, I'm agreeing. I said I give that to you. I agree.
The first thing that caught my eye was a revolver shotgun, and I was like, that's odd. And so I kept scrolling, and there's a section on pistols. Any pistol that can accept a detachable magazine is banned under this bill.
Yep.
All non-revolving pistols except
that eliminates all semi-automatic.
All semi-automatic.
Yes, that's what I fucking said, but you wouldn't listen.
That's all. No. Hold on.
That's all.
The bill
Tyson,
that
that's all
anybody can
semi-automatics,
propose.
dude.
You can propose a bill that says dandelions can't be yellow.
It
You
passed
can
the
propose
House,
any bill in
and
the
it went
world.
into the Senate.
That bill will never pass.
Okay,
It
now
just won't pass.
hold on,
It
Tyson.
passed the House.
You're giving too much
After
goodwill to your
Tyson.
party, Tyson.
14
Yes, Tyson,
hours
hold
of
on.
testimony. They
All
did
right,
not
all right.
listen to us, and they passed it to the Senate.
Okay, and on top of that, very similar bills have already been passed in Washington State, among several others. And I've gone through and read all those, and they're banning all the same semi-automatic rifles. They're banning semi-automatic shotguns. And this one is
All
that's
the Democrats
terrifying.
coordinate.
That's insane.
State to state.
I have just a simple question for Cassie. Just one question.
He's
Is there
reading the
one?
bill.
I have a question. Just one question. Is there one state out of the 50 United States, just one, where it is illegal to own a semi-automatic hand pistol? One state. Just give me the name of one state where it's illegal. Not a bill where they're trying to be. Just
I'm not okay.
One,
you want?
All right. Let me just tell you something. In California, you can have a gun that's semi-automatic, but you can't have more than 8 bullets in it.
I'll give you.
I didn't ask that. I asked one state where it's illegal. Okay, go ahead.
It's already been done in many states, and it's done by little bits and pieces that ban pieces of weapons and certain setups and designs of weapons until they're all gone. And examples of bills that have already passed are AR-15 pistols. If you have a semi-automatic rifle that has a short barrel, it's now a pistol, and that type of pistol is banned. Some are grandfathered in; they cannot be sold anymore.
Let me revise my statement. I have a Ruger P85. Okay, it's a semi-automatic 9-bullet magazine clip pistol. It's a Ruger P85. You can look it up. Ruger P85. Is there one state where it would be illegal for me to own my Ruger P85?
Okay, in Colorado, maybe not your Ruger P85. It's already California compliant, so it's legal damn near everywhere. Okay, but I have to give you an example. In Colorado, there are certain models of Glocks and other firearms that have magazine capacities that are standard in the firearm that are over 15 rounds, and you cannot buy those firearms in the state of Colorado. So
would you be happy? So I've got a
California.
question. So I've got a question for you, Tyson. Would you be happy if they took all of our guns except our revolvers? Is that the place you want to live?
No, absolutely not. And where do you draw the line? Now this is okay. This is going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm only talking from the heart. Okay. I think rifles, shotguns, revolvers, semi-automatic pistols. And I'm even going to include high-capacity magazine for those semi-automatic pistols. Ought to be fine. Weapons of war, AK-47s, Tommy guns, AR-15s. These weapons of war should not be regular citizen guns.
We can go.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah, hold on.
You asked what I believe. That's what I believe. So rifles, shotguns.
Wait a second.
Rifles, shotguns, handguns, revolvers, automatic, all legal. Okay. Just weapons of war. Like I shouldn't own a cannon. I shouldn't own a rocket launcher.
I've heard your argument. I've heard your argument. Allison has something to say, but Zach had something to say before that.
I should be able to own a cannon.
Zach I got a question though for you. I understand where you're coming from. Actually, I understand where you're coming from, Tyson. But if that's the case, should the government also be banned from those weapons of war?
In the Americas, yes, in the Americas.
So we can murder brown children, just not white children.
No, I'm being quite serious. No, I don't think that the National Guard, which operates within the U.S., should have those weapons within the U.S.
So
I agree.
Now
our overseas military, because they do conduct war, and they do need to have weapons of war, right?
No,
just like
they shouldn't conduct war.
No, I'm not saying I'm in favor of war. I'm saying they have to be able to if they are to defend the country. I'm not pro-war at all. I'm just saying that the military has to be able to respond. That's
the
all.
people should be able to respond.
Hey Tyson, let me tell you something about weapon caliber, because people like the way this. I mean, you're parroting the
caliber. An AR-15 is a 22. It's a 22. Okay. It's a tiny little bullet. It's not about caliber. No, it's not about caliber.
Most hunting rifles on that basic level platform, 22 long rifle and 223 and up, they all have a capacity of at least 15. And the only reason people pick the AR is because it looks modern, and it's the way the appearance it is. An AR doesn't mean assault rifle; it means Armalite. That's the original patent and copyright manufacturer of the weapon.
It's actually a beautiful weapon for hunting.
It's fantastic.
Let me ask a question. Does the military use AR-15s, or do they don't have any AR-15 in the military?
Yes.
They use the M16, which is a fully automatic variant. Actually, they phased that out for a new weapon that's made by SIG, and the caliber of bullet is closer to the AK, which is a 6 Sauer, and it's a 308 or 7.62, depending on how you want to measure it. The bullet in an AK is literally twice as big as the bullet in an AR-15.
No. I understand that. I understand caliber. I was an armed inmate guard. I had to qualify with a firearm in order to wear one. So I understand caliber, size. I understand the amount of gunpowder, how far it can go. Believe me, I understand this. The AR-15 is lethal not because of the caliber, but because of the repetition, how quickly it can fire. I mean, if you took a BB gun that could fire with a certain amount of force and a certain amount of per minute shots, you could cut a person in half with a BB gun.
Tyson, here's the thing that I find interesting about your argument. I find your argument interesting. Like if we have, like, I would love an AK. I would love to have these weapons. These weapons are beautiful weapons, and they're very defensible weapons. If I'm at my house and I'm looking down the hill and a bunch of people are coming up to try to fucking fuck up my house,
most mass shootings are caused by those weapons. Count. But go ahead.
Right, but here's where I agree with you. I don't agree with that we should ban these weapons. But if we did, then we should ban them for the police force, and we should ban them for the National Guard, and we should ban them for everyone in America.
Oh, hold on. No, I agree. I agree that we should ban them for the police, from the National Guard, but not from the U.S. military overseas, because they are the ones.
Only the criminals will have them.
You do understand?
Okay. Look, hold on.
Why can't I have a cannon?
Rocket
I want a
launchers,
Napoleon.
Cannons, Stinger missiles. I mean, should private American citizens own those kind of things?
If they can afford it.
If they can afford it, and they've never broken any laws.
So if my house, I wanted to have a battery of Stinger missiles, of Iron Dome kind of thing, that's fine. I could have that in my house right here, right now. Rocket launchers, and that ought to be fine. Legal. It ought to be perfectly legal. Fine. No, I disagree.
Otherwise is a violation of the Second Amendment.
I disagree. I think that's
do you know what the Second Amendment was written for?
Hold on.
Like you said, it's coming from the heart. It's not coming from your mind.
Coming from the heart.
This through.
The Second Amendment was to prevent tyranny.
There we go. Right.
Yes,
you want to know? You want to know what the Second Amendment's really for?
Hey, Tyson, you said you wouldn't yell, and this wouldn't turn into argumentative. Yeah. So
no. I am being
yelling.
Believe me. I'm yelling because 3 people are trying to talk over me, and I'm trying to get through that.
Everyone.
Yeah, but
I'm the co-host. I'm the co-host of the show.
You're
the co-host of the show.
All right, so Chris, you just said something that was quite interesting. The Second Amendment. What was it written for?
The purpose of the Second Amendment is to defeat and protect against tyranny.
Tyranny.
That is the root.
Yes.
So, if you believe in the Second Amendment, and you believe that your government could become tyrannical, how could you not believe that you should have the same weapons that they do?
And the Electoral College.
Mic drop.
The Electoral College. All of this was written during a time 300 years ago when technology was different than it is today. And I think laws need to evolve with the technology. Did we have Stinger missiles? Did we have Stinger missiles when the Second Amendment was written? Did we have AR-15s?
Hey, real quick, everybody. Zach hasn't had much of an opportunity.
Yeah, no. Let's go to Zach.
Zach needs.
Let me add something to that. The founding
I'm going to
fathers
bring you up front. Go ahead.
Oh, the framers were not stupid. They understood that technology was going to advance.
Right.
I mean, we're human beings, so I mean, inevitably, the law. It's not a law. It's not the law itself. It's a right, and it's a negative right. It's a natural right. You have the right to defend yourself. So by any means necessary. So if that means that you have to match up with somebody, say they have a Stinger missile, and you can grab a hold of a Stinger missile yourself, checkmate, sort of like a mutually assured destruction.
Yeah. From country to country, not citizens, though.
Well, believe me, but here's the thing, Tyson. Believe me, if you had your own religion and you were defending yourself, there's been horrible things in this country that the ATF and the DEA have done to our citizens by coming in with tanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's one thing here's why I believe in the Second Amendment, and you guys can all argue with me. But the one thing this country
don't believe
will
in
never
the Second
be.
Amendment.
I do. No, look, just because
you just said that we should ban certain types of weapons.
Hold on. Let me speak.
Okay.
I believe in the Second Amendment. There are guns in my home. There are rifles. There are pistols. There are shotguns. There are guns in my home. Okay.
That you believe in.
Okay, in the 1700s, it was to form a posse, not a posse,
a militia,
a militia, so that you could defend the country against both internal and external threats to the country.
Both internal,
and external. Now let me finish.
Infringed. You cannot support something you do not understand.
Congress cannot make a law that infringes upon it.
Zach, please let me finish. I'm only going to be 60 seconds, okay? Please.
Okay.
So, the one reason I believe the U.S. will never be invaded, it could be bombed, it could be attacked, it could be anything, but it can never be invaded. When you look at Ukraine, when you look at Taiwan, when you look at all these places that could be invaded, the U.S. can never be invaded because almost every home has a gun in it. That means that an invasion force, a foreign country, troops, boots on the ground coming into our country would have to contend with every resident that has a gun in their home, which is almost impossible. I don't believe we'll ever be invaded for that reason. We might be bombed, we might be nuked, we might be attacked from the air, but no infantry will ever invade the U.S. because we are so armed. I love that.
Hold on a second. You love that, but our own presidents have sent the military in to our own cities to maintain control. So what about the internal threat? What about when we're taken over from the inside? And in the possible future, I would say now, but in the possible future in your world, maybe 200 years from now, what about when the government becomes so tyrannical that we as citizens need to fight back without the Second Amendment?
Manu, you're exactly right, and that is where there is so much.
That is where you should be able to own a tank. If you're a good citizen, you should have a tank in your backyard.
You should have nukes.
That is a very subjective line. What is tyrannical to me is not tyrannical to you, and vice versa. So when does a country decide that the leader is being tyrannical or the government is tyrannical? I mean, one person might say it's tyrannical
You're not
now,
going to because you've fallen for the manipulation to divide and conquer.
I am one
because
person.
You're so emotional based. Now, if we want to talk
I am one person.
religion, and
there
all
are
the other
300
part of the people.
We're going to talk about.
There are 330 million people in the U.S. and that is a very subjective. One person might think the world's fine, everything's great. I might think it's tyrannical. When do we as citizens get to overthrow? I mean, where is that line that the whole country can agree it's become tyrannical?
Can I add something?
In the definition of freedom, there's freedom or there's tyranny. We are experiencing tyranny.
Right. We are experiencing tyranny, and you're voting.
You're voting to steal from me.
Is it better in Russia? Is it better in Russia?
Oh, I hate
this.
Is
it better in North Korea?
Do you want to share?
Is it better in?
That's not an argument, though.
From the media on Russia.
I'm just saying that there is no perfect society. It doesn't exist. I think yes, there's lots of problems with our government.
Why are you trying to find it? By controlling
there's lots of problems with this government, but I think it is the best we can do considering all the other world governments.
Because they groomed you to believe
they've groomed you to believe that.
Okay, well, show me
I've been around
the world where they got it better. Show
Germany,
me a country in the world.
Italy.
Okay.
So
why aren't we living there if it's better?
Because I can't. I haven't met somebody to marry to move.
Okay, I accept that. I'll accept that, sir. Good answer.
I mean, there are places. There are
wonderful governments.
Let's twist it. We're getting into a conflict with the with the gun thing.
So let's move on from the gun thing.
Speaking of better places, though, I'd like to add there are places where you can go and take yourself somewhere that you might be able to fulfill your niche in life and be able to practice your negative rights. And there are different dual citizenships that you can attach yourself to where you actually can find peace of mind pretty much. I've been doing a lot of research on nomad capitalist, nomad capitalism. And one thing with one awesome program that I've discovered is St. Kitts and Nevis dual citizenship program, where you can go in. It costs money. You got to have some assets, but when you get to that level, you can move yourself, your assets, apply for dual citizenship. You don't even have to go there. You can apply for it here, and then you can get yourself a passport that is visa free, and then you have 150 countries that you can go to. Just travel the world. I mean, and find your place.
How much does this cost? What
you're gonna have to have some money. It's about 150,000.
Need to be in.
Yeah.
Okay.
About $150,000 in assets. So
now we have two. We have
bad as I assumed.
I've been looking into Costa Rica and Panama, and Panama is 300,000. Costa Rica is 110,000.
Mm-hmm. We have two people on this call who are not in the United States. Mm-hmm. One from Canada, one from England, and I would like to hear from them. I would really like to hear from them. So we're going to start with Mala, then we're going to go to Catie. Mala, from Canada. Now you're Canadian American. You're an American citizen. You're born here.
Wow, this is great.
Talk to us about Canada.
I actually don't mind Canada. It's a pretty chill place to live. They have a lot of diversity here, and as a person who is ethnically diverse, I have a lot of appreciation for that. And in all honesty, the biggest issue is police corruption, but you're going to find that anywhere. So
that's agreed.
But
why don't more people think like that? Because police corruption is everywhere. It's just to what degree is it? How corrupt are the police?
Well, the problem
and how can we fix that?
They're emboldened by their position to become exactly what they're trained to go after. Yeah. So,
but let's talk about other laws like universal health care. So Canada's conquered that.
I have universal health care. I broke my toe 2018. I went in for an x-ray. I didn't pay a cent. I went in to get care done for it. I didn't pay.
How has Canada solved that issue?
I'm not too sure. I just came in and they already had it established.
Okay.
No, if I'm totally honest, and
because there's people in England that also have universal health care, and I was in England, and while I was traveling, I hurt myself, and I had all that paid for. I didn't have to pay for it. Of course, I left the country afterwards. So
now here's the question. Here's the question from England's perspective.
But
you were a foreigner, and their tax dollars paid for you.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the U.S. and the Mexicans. I mean, how do you?
I think all free governments of free worlds. This is my personal opinion, not emotional, but personal. I think that the very first thing that a government should care about is its citizens' health.
Yes.
Especially
thank you.
Health and education are like the top two things.
I need to pay for your medical choices. Why
and I need to pay for yours.
I track my macros. I work out 5 times a week. I eat healthy foods.
It doesn't mean you're not going to get sick.
Someone else's healthcare.
There was
Allison, I agree, but he was in England and he had his health care paid for by the English taxpayers. Why was that okay?
It's not. It's not okay.
Oh God.
It's not okay to have to steal someone's money to spend it how you want. It's my money. I've worked for it. I'm not your slave.
So, Allison, are you saying that all taxes should be gone? All government should be gone.
All government, all taxes. Yes.
Right? Okay.
That's the difference between freedom and tyranny.
Oh.
I have to.
I like to piggyback on that.
Income for what you want to spend it on, and I don't agree with universal health care for people who don't take care of themselves and smoke cigarettes and do drugs. I don't agree with it.
Okay, but here's the thing, Allison, and this is just one. Go ahead and piggyback off that, Zach, and then I'll make my comment.
I think that the only way that you're going to fix this issue is there you go.
I'm not allowed to do that. Sorry, I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, but the only way to fix this is, and I think that the issue in the United States, coming from the United States perspective, because I'm an American, is our healthcare system is highly subsidized through Medicare and Medicaid, as well as subsidies for the insurance companies. And that's what floods in the taxpayer revenue. Then you have that creates the cartel of private partnerships within the government. So you have a fascist system, and for which you now have no incentive but profit motive. Yeah. So in order to fix that, and that's it, I don't see a monopoly fixing that. The government with healthcare is not going to work. Monopolies, the same thing. The motive is not.
I wonder how Canada and I wonder how England got to that. I mean, I guess they're both highly taxed countries.
Yes. 15% to 20%, depending on your income bracket.
And England's more like 40%. So.
But the thing about universal healthcare, I'd like to clarify. It only covers the basics.
Yeah.
And it covers things that would affect your average citizen, not like, oh, I want to go get a boob implant. It's not going to cover that. It's not going to cover, I want to get liposuction.
If you get cancer, are you going to get some of the best cancer treatment that you can get?
Yes and no. You will, but there are some medications that are not covered. And if you don't have private insurance to help you cover those costs, it can be very costly. But you're not going to go into medical bankruptcy the same way in Canada that you would in the United States.
Okay, so in a place, all right. So I've already made my argument.
Catie, hold on, really quick.
Yeah, let's go to Catie.
Catie.
There's Catie on another place.
Yeah, but she was upside down. She was back
on the other side of the planet, not upside down, but more like this. So, what do you think about universal health care in England, Catie? And what do you think about it in general?
Sorry about my camera, by the way. That hasn't happened for a while. I'm sure it entertained Casi. But I've lived with the NHS all my life. And sometimes, I mean, especially since the pandemic, the NHS has just been completely screwed. Everything's backlogged. I mean, I was waiting 5 months for physio for a ruptured ligament. But in other ways, the NHS is very good. When my mother got diagnosed with breast cancer, she was diagnosed, she got the results in a week after a biopsy, and she had the operation 2 weeks after. And I personally don't mind paying for someone to have that treatment. I do not mind contributing so that someone can get life-saving treatment. And regardless of whether, I mean, I don't like people, present company accepted, of course, but I don't like people. Everyone knows how much I bitch about the human race.
Yeah, me too.
But if I am contributing,
I think all of us truly love certain people, but in general, it's like...
Well, yeah, but if I am contributing even the tiniest amount or the biggest amount for someone to be able to get life-saving treatment as soon as possible, I am more than willing to do so. I would not want that person to suffer, regardless of who they are, regardless of what they may have done in their lives, whether they are a good or bad person, because at the end of the day, even if it's a criminal who's in prison who has committed murder, they don't deserve to suffer for their health. They deserve to suffer a punishment for their crime. They don't need to suffer for something that's out of their control. That is just
that was what I was going to say to Allison, was that you can take so good care of yourself, but we do live in a country that is blew up 500 nuclear bombs and scattered radiation downwind from the New Mexico side all the way across everywhere. Cancer is rampant, and a lot of people get a lot of diseases that they don't deserve, and they do need treatment for them. So my argument is that in a society where we have a free society, we have a lot of wealth, we should be, if we're going to be taxed, taking that, and I understand, Allison, no tax. I understand your point of view, and I might agree with it. I haven't thought about it enough, anarchy and agorism and stuff like that. But if we are going to use our taxes for something, I think healthcare and education should be number one.
So let's expand on that a little bit. You know, if we can talk, like, maybe not religion, mythology per se, but my girls are here being jerks. Why do we need the government to make us good human beings? Like, our government has become our
because human beings aren't good.
We are good.
That's the problem.
We are. Every single one of us on here would help our neighbor if they needed us. Every one
you
of
were
us.
just saying,
I agree.
why do I have to pay for somebody I don't know?
No, I'm on Allison's side. I'm on Allison's side with this. I believe that we do help our neighbors. Yes.
Why don't I get to choose? Why am I being forced? And it's not even just the force aspect of it, it's the inefficiency. You have, and this is, you know, I don't have the statistics to prove it, but the dumbest motherfuckers in existence and the most moral motherfuckers in existence go into government. So now we're saying, take my money and go spend it in the most inefficient way possible. Yay, I'm a good person.
I'm sorry.
It's the most asinine fucking shit that exists in this world. And that's why government started government education, so that people actually believe this. And this is, you know, we can get back into guns. The issue with the gun violence in America is the issue with our fucking head shit.
It's a mental health issue.
We have no morals. We have no values. We have outsourced our humanity to the government. We're not good people. We are not good people by allowing this to happen. We are good people when we go start a nonprofit to help people with cancer. We're good people when we donate our money. We're good people when we give our neighbor a ride because they need to get to the doctor or they need to get somewhere. That's what makes us good people. It doesn't make us good people to go vote, to say steal from my neighbor to spend it how I want. That is not a good person. And the issue, again, I love mythology. Mythology is who has made me what I am. Joseph Campbell is my freaking hero.
Yeah, me too.
I have a book here somewhere. And then that is all encompassing with religion. People worship our government. They think our government is good and it loves them and it protects them. It doesn't. It destroys. We can sit here. We all agree. They're liars. They're cheaters.
It fights against natural law.
And then we say, rule me. What the actual fuck?
Yeah, how long is it going to take for all of us slaves to wake up and stop paying income tax?
There's something
that you're saying, and what you just mentioned made me think of that story in the Old Testament when God's people were just following God. He was there in their presence, following them, and then suddenly they decided they wanted a king, and he's like, all right, if this is what you really want, but it's going to come with a lot of problems. And so, God let them choose a king, and the rest is history.
Oh, I kind of feel the same way. And in America, we're taught that we live in a democracy, but really we live in a revolving kingdom.
And if I could just pause this whole conversation to say one thing, regardless of my emotions and my own personal decisions, I appreciate everybody who's come on here and voiced their opinions. Allison, you were on this show last year. I remember you reported from a convention that was from Independence, and Trump had showed up. And boy, you came onto this show and you told us about all that. I mean, I really do appreciate your point of view, and I appreciate you coming on the show. I know it's hard to come onto a show where people don't think and agree with everything you say, and it takes a lot of courage to come on and challenge us. I appreciate that. I appreciate Chris, because he and I have had conversations offline, on the telephone, and I appreciate what he has to say. And Zach, Mala, Catie, you guys have been brilliant.
Rebuild this. So to rebuild the government from the inside out, or to rebel, what is the answer to start improving things?
Yes.
Because
how do we fix it?
What we're doing right now is we're doing either no participation whatsoever. Let's all stop paying our income tax. Let's all stop participating. Let's start being nice people to each other. Let's start. You know what I would love to do is do it in one state. Let's pick one state, like let's say South Dakota.
Texas.
And if you're Texas, South Dakota, even California, but I think South Dakota.
It'll never work in California.
I was actually thinking about this the other night.
Actually,
and I thought South Dakota was the best choice. If you're an anarchist, an agorist, and you want to do this experiment, let's move everybody out of South Dakota.
Small test change, right?
Wants
South Dakota. I do have something to say.
Plenty of land to grow shit there, and
But
we all
it gets
move.
cold.
Anybody that's an agorist goes there, and we do the experiment. I think it would be beautiful, a beautiful idea.
Go ahead, Zach.
Speaking of the nullification and localism, they're in California. I heard somebody say, probably not California. They are doing it in California. They are nullifying state laws, the state tyranny of Sacramento. They've done it since COVID, building coalitions in West Huntington Beach in Orange County.
I get this. So for the dumb guys that host the show, nullification. Give me a little.
Nullification is effectively rejecting certain laws that are in place that restrict or just certain laws in general. So it's a form of rejection or succession, really. Like the South, when they succeeded from the Union.
It's a
in
purist view of the Constitution.
They nullified. Yeah,
so you can nullify a state law and a state law and a federal law. How do you?
Yeah, well, in the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
In the Bill of
laws on the books now are. I'm sorry. Are in violation of the Constitution,
yes,
and therefore null and void. I'd probably say 80% of the laws on the books are in direct violation. I think it's Article 3 of the Constitution.
So how is this nullification being in California that you're talking about? How did it happen? How is it happening?
Well, I believe, and I get this from Mike Decentralized. He's told me a lot of what they've done, but since COVID, basically California has had one of the roughest shelter in place mandate laws during COVID. And
hello,
what
I
they
was here.
did,
I know.
Tyson knows because he's there.
Yeah, I was
But
there too.
what they did is they built coalitions locally. We're talking like lefties, we're talking libertarians, we're talking even MAGA. I mean, coalitions were and officials were elected and laws were passed locally that subverted the tyranny of Sacramento.
I love it. I love it.
They actually what they did was they ended up passing laws that got rid of mask mandates and vaccine mandates and et cetera, et cetera.
So we do have to participate. We just don't have to participate in their game.
You don't have to participate in their game. You can do it locally. And I'm an agorist, and I don't believe in participate. I believe become your own bank, become your own self, become self-sufficient, build a community somewhere. But
they are going digital, and they're going to clock the flow, and they're going to put all of us in prison for tax evasion. You watch. There will be no more dollars. Yeah,
but I don't know. I will say, stay local though if you're going to participate.
Yeah,
Trump,
no doubt.
Trump is proposing to close the IRS and go back to the tariff taxation system of Alexander Hamilton. I am all for that.
I think you've just changed my vote.
No, I'm dead serious. He's getting
hey, you know, when that other guy was saying he wanted to get rid of the IRS and nobody was listening to him, that Florida dickhead.
Get rid of the IRS.
DeSantos was like, let's lose IRS and income tax. And I was like, fuck yeah. But nobody wanted to talk. It just went like the tyranny news didn't cover it at all.
Well, because it wasn't good for the narrative. And RFK is also on board with that, and so is Elon. I mean, they're, team-wise, they've really got a pretty amazing platform. And you think about all the people that were supporting RFK, come to the MAGA side. That's like 70% of America, dude.
Like it was a big deal, right? Back in the day, no taxation without representation. That was the big deal, right? And now
that was the Boston Tea Party. That was what it was all about.
Yeah, and it's what's going on now is that we're being taxed to an incredible degree, and we're having all of our rights taken away, and we're just sitting here and taking it. I think this has been a beautiful discussion. Zach, were you going to say something? I was about to end the show.
Oh, I was putting up 6. It all started with 6% T.
6.
We're getting paid 50% now. We're forced to pay about 50%.
Yeah. But anyway, you guys.
It's really bothering me. There's taxes. I think it's in Boulder. You have to pay taxes on groceries to eat. To survive, you need to give the government its cut. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting.
It is.
Well, that's how corrupt government has gotten, because I've always thought in my head, all right, to build the roads, to provide education, if we're going to do a tax system, I've always seen this 10% income tax. It's very common, 8%, 10%, 12%, 15% in some fucking places. I'm like, that's 15% of every dollar spent in that state. Where the fuck is all that money going? If government isn't corrupt.
There has never been a government in history across the world that hasn't been corrupt.
You can't have it anymore.
When
it's run by human beings.
Certain mandates and like promises that politicians make.
Yeah.
When these politicians get voted in to be president, prime minister, whatever, they are pushing their own agenda, not the agenda of the people. They will, to some degree, they will uphold certain tiny little promises to placate the people while fucking off everything else they've promised, because they're giving all these promises just to reel people in. Mm-hmm. And when they drop, like when they uphold these tiny, tiny little promises, people just to placate the public, everyone's like, oh, they're upholding their promises. Yeah, we did the right thing in voting them in. And then a year or two down the line, when this party is in, they're like, holy shit, what have we done? And guaranteed, that has happened with every single government in every country in every world, across the world. You know, it doesn't matter who you vote in, whether it's Democrat, Republican, Conservative, or Labour. You know, it don't matter. They're lying little shits.
You're right. It matters in little places,
Exactly,
but it's
like when, I mean, I know I'm not American, you know, but I still have my opinions on gun control. And in my opinion, the gun isn't the problem. People are the problem. People have been killing people since before weapons were invented. I mean, if you're religious,
the first murder was
killed Abel with a fucking rock. He was the first murderer in the world. Yeah. You know, so that rock, I mean, what they're going to do?
Ban rocks?
Because it's a weapon. You know, if you have, like, for example, because I mean, we have a lot of knife crime across here. You know, if you put a gun and a knife on a table and stand back, they're not dangerous. They're not being touched. As soon as they're picked up by a human, that is when they become dangerous. But that's only because of the human holding it. It's the person wielding the weapon that is the threat.
I agree.
We
need to keep guns legal and outlaw humanity. I agree with that.
We need to regulate nervous systems. We need to regulate.
I'm down.
We are in a mental health crisis, and the causes are very clear if you actually heal your own nervous system and pay attention.
Yeah. Also, all these Facebook and Instagram and all these algorithms are made to fuck up your head, and they are made to divide you from your fellow human beings. They're also made to drive you crazy. So, like, fuck the algorithms. And if you do participate in any voting, if there are any state laws on your local state ballots that have anything to do with not being monitored anymore and controlled by these dark technology devices, please vote for those laws. It's been an interesting conversation tonight. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I do want to say one thing. There was one thing I wanted to say before I went tonight. Oh, tonight we did have some dangerous thoughts on the program.
Yes.
And that's what I really appreciated about this show more than anything. Work on your local level. Let's fix this broken system before it's so. I mean, it's so far gone. But let's have some hope.
Yes. Before we close out, let's give a special thanks to Allison, a special thanks to Mala, to Chris, to Zach.
Yeah, Chris, thank you for coming on.
To everybody,
Zach,
everybody who came on, and I know we've had politics separates people like oil and water. You know, it's one of those things. So these were brave people that came onto the show that didn't need to.
And let's admit that no matter if Trump wins or Kamala wins, it's still going to suck. So
it's still going to suck. Yeah, it's still going to suck. Yeah,
let's do something.
But I want
things.
Chris and Allison and Mala and Zach and Catie and everybody to know I appreciate you coming on, and it was meaningful. And without you, this show wouldn't have happened. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Also, to end it on a dangerous thought, Christian nationalism is a very dangerous thing. And that is the only reason.
We got to do a whole show.
That is the only reason that I might be voting a certain way. But this is the thing. I just don't want a government ruled by a king who believes in a god and is interpreting God's law to put onto man. I think that is fucking ridiculous. And I hope that never happens. But
you know, there's only 2% of evangelicals that think that way. The rest of them don't mix their politics with their government.
Thank God. I hope that's so true. I so hope that's true. All right. I hope that stays in that 2 percentile, because those people scare me so bad. But Chris, I love you, and I love that you have the right to think the way you do, and the rest of you that join the show, I love that you have the right to think the way you do. And we are doing some things in America right. We at least can still get up on these platforms and talk about it, and we can actually take actions and change things. So let's keep doing it. Keep having those dangerous thoughts. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Robbers hiding like a jungle holding rest of a neighbor. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Hey, gorilla hearted, I beat in my chest to stay alive. Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Robbers hiding like a jungle holding rest of a neighbor. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Gorilla hearted, I beat in my chest to stay alive. Hey.